Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to our Friday Srimad Bhagavatam class. Thank you so much for
Hare Krishna Mataji, my humble obeisances, all of you.
humble obeisance to you too.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Okay, so
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna everyone. Sumal
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Shraddha Mataji.
Hare Krishna,
Dandavat
Sukumara
Pranam.
Devotee, Dandavat Pranams. Okay, so should we get started then?
Yes.
What do you say? We are broadcasting on Facebook and we're going to go live here. So we'll start with the prayers to the spiritual master. And there we go. Om Ajnanatimarandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Scha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Welcome, dear devotees. Thank you so much for making time for this class. And today is Srimad Bhagavatam day, and we are doing Srimad Bhagavatam studies after a long time. I missed on a few Fridays due to prior commitments. And so we should get started. We are doing prayers of the chapter on prayers of Queen Kunti. We haven't quite reached the part where she starts praying, but nevertheless, we are reaching there for sure. So we'll start with the short prayers again, this time to Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. Okay, so today's verse is from the first canto, and it is 8th chapter, and the verse is verse number 17. So I'm just going to start reciting from that verse here. So just to recap on where we are and where we are coming from. So this was when Uttara, who is carrying Parikshit Maharaj in her womb, she is attacked by the Brahmastra of Ashwatthama, who actually wants to annihilate the complete dynasty of the Pandavas. So he's very angry because his dear friend Duryodhana was killed in the battlefield of Mahabharata. So he has unleashed that weapon, and then of course Uttara, being a true devotee of the Lord, reaches out to Krishna and she prays to him. So continuing on, and she has been saved because then Krishna enters into her womb and saves Parikshit Maharaj. Brahma tejo vinirmukte atmaje saha krishnaya prayana bhimukham krishnam idam aha pritasati. Synonyms: Brahma tejaha, the radiation of the Brahmastra. Vinirmuktai, being saved from. Atmajay, along with her sons. Saha, with. Krishnaya, Draupadi. Prayana, outgoing. Abhimukham, towards. Krishnam, unto Lord Krishna. Idam, this. Aha, said. Pritha, Kunti. Sati, chaste, devoted to the Lord. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thus saved from the radiation of the Brahmastra, Kunti, the chaste devotee of the Lord, and her 5 sons, and Draupadi addressed Lord Krishna as he started for home. Okay. So we'll pause here before going into the purports. And so look at the synonyms here. So Krishnaya, Krishnaya is what? Can you take out your notepads and let me know? What is Krishnaya? What does Krishnaya mean? Krishnaya, actually, precisely. And let me also see what's coming up in the chat. There are 2 chat messages there. So Kumala de Mataji says Krishnaya means Draupadi. Anybody else agrees or disagrees with that? Krishnaya. Do you agree with that? Please type a yes. Okay, Sadhana Mataji agrees with you. So Kumal Radhe, so you have 1 person there in your support. Vindhyavali Mataji, what do you say? She's busy writing, I can see. So I know she's struggling with technology there. Okay, so these are quick tests to see who all are attentive here. All right, Vaishana Mataji says Draupadi. I like the spelling of that. It's very French looking spelling of Draupadi. Okay, yes, so we'll take it from there. Yes, it is. And then if somebody is saved from something, what do you call that in Sanskrit? Okay. Vinirmukta. All right. So Kumala Devi Mataji is on top of the Sanskrit words today. She's cranking them away very fast. Okay. Sadhana Mataji agrees to that. She's taking the shortcut today. Okay. All right. So let's continue on with the purport from Srila Prabhupada. So Kunti is described here in a sati or chaste due to her unalloyed devotion to Lord Krishna. A chaste devotee of the Lord does not look to others, namely any other living entities, living beings, or demigods, even for deliverance from danger. That was all along the characteristic of the whole family of the Pandavas. Remember that when initially we had Arjuna, who was being chased by the Brahmas, right? So Arjuna also went to, right? Krishna Mahabhava. So it runs in the family. They always go towards Krishna whenever they are in some dire situation. Okay. So so now here we are saying Krishna is Kunti, right? Is being described. Kunti, and the other name for Kunti is Pritha, which is used in the verse today. So Kunti is described hearing as sati or chaste due to her unalloyed devotion to Lord Krishna. Her mind will now be expressed in the following prayers for Lord Krishna. A chaste devotee of the Lord does not look to others, namely any other living being or demigod, even for deliverance from danger. That was all along the characteristic of the whole family of the Pandavas. They knew nothing except Krishna, and therefore the Lord was also always ready to help them in all respects and in all circumstances. That is the transcendental nature of the Lord. He reciprocates the dependence of the devotee. One should not therefore look for help from imperfect living beings or demigods, but one should look for all help from Lord Krishna, who is competent to save his devotees. Such a chaste devotee also never asks the Lord for help, but the Lord, out of his own accord, is always anxious to render it. Hari Om. That's it. So fantastic, as usual. Prabhupada elaborating on this, seemingly simple verse, which seemed to be just stating a fact that Kunti is, is praying to the Lord, and they are addressed, but then Prabhupada is, elaborating over there. And so for Kunti, obviously she was reaching out to Krishna, but not all of us always reach out to Krishna, and that's what Prabhupada is warning, because there's a lure there of going over to the demigods, and that's why Prabhupada, is saying that one should not, and in the purport he's using the word that one should not look for help from Lord Krishna, right? From imperfect beings, like demigods, right? But should always look for help from Lord Krishna, right? And so this is very, very important. And actually, when Krishna was teaching Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, he also says that. So there's a verse in Bhagavad Gita, and maybe I should just bring that verse up here. Let's see, do I have a Bhagavad Gita here? I do. And it's from the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It's a beautiful chapter there. And the verse is 23. So if you look at verse number 23, let's see here. And it says, Yepi anya devata bhakta yajante shraddha yanvitaha tepi mameva konteya yajante avidhi purvakam. So what does it say? This verse particularly says that those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in the wrong way. So there is a wrong way and a right way to doing this. So he's saying avidhi purvakam. They're worshiping Krishna, but into a circuitous route, right? So how do they worship? If they're worshiping demigod, why does it become a worship of Krishna? Because demigods are part and parcel of Krishna. When Krishna shows the universal form to Arjuna, right? So there are demigods also there, right? And there are different ways in which one can look at the universal form of the Lord. and which is described elaborately in first and second, third cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, where we say that the devatas are there. Some of them are on the on his forehead and so on and so forth. So they are part and parcel of Krishna. And so if you're worshiping demigods, you are actually worshiping Krishna, but it's an indirect way. And just because that's demigods are there available, it doesn't mean that we should say, all right, fine, but it says we are actually worshiping Krishna also. They're part and parcel of Krishna, so let me just worship them that way. But the thing is that, and Prabhupada says in one of his lectures very, very nicely, is that says, just because there are so many holes on your face, right? So it doesn't mean that, if you have to put food to the body, you can use any of the holes, right? Like if you can't put food in your ear, right? Food has to be supplied as it has to be supplied through the mouth, right? So similarly, if something has to be offered to Krishna, you offer directly to Krishna and don't go around that in a circuitous way, right? And what is the problem? What is the problem with demigod worship, right? After all, we see the gopis were worshipping Krishna. When they wanted Krishna, they were worshipping Katyayani, who is Durga, right? So it was a demigod. And so why were they worshipping like that, right? So one has to see the mood in which a particular person is worshipping the demigods. Now, the demigods are the controllers of this material world. So Krishna, likes to play and dance. So he's not involved. He creates this srishti, but he says, I'm aloof from this. And so he has appointed his devotees to manage this world. And we are here in this world suffering. But, as Prabhupada says, you're here to enjoy the good things and the bad things. Prabhupada uses the word enjoy. So Prabhupada is saying you also enjoy the punishment. But anyway, so what we try to do is we try to find some loopholes over here. And again, Prabhupada gives these examples, and he says that, if you're trying to satisfy the police commissioner, right? You did something and you're trying to satisfy the police commissioner. So what do you do, right? So one way is that you bribe the constable. And if the commissioner comes to know about that, in an ideal world, then he'll be angry with you. So similarly, when we try to offer things, when we approach the demigods with an intention of trying to get something for ourselves, when we try to do that, then it is not the right thing. Bribing the demigods is not the proper way to do that. And so here is what it is. Somebody might just think that demigods are also devotees of the Lord. And so why do they give it? Why do they give it to us, whatever we are asking for, right? So we have to understand that there are rules in this material world, and which are that, if a person does a certain amount of austerities and goes through certain amount of yagyas, then these demigods are bound by the rules, and they are supposed to give them benediction. So you will kind of get them because you did that, you will get it. Like you see, as long as a demigod is capable of giving it to you. Right? So we recently concluded reading the Ramayana, right? And in the Ramayana, we see how Ravana was performing austerities for so many years, right? And then he was, who was Ravana worshipping? Can you take your notepads and tell me? Who was he worshipping? There you go, right? So you see, he was worshipping. And then he says that I want to be immortal. And Brahma says, I can't give that to you, right? But then the other things that he asks for, right? He gives them. Now, when the demigods give you things, right? When the demigods give you benedictions, when you ask for benedictions, if the benediction is simple, you will get it. But if the benediction, if what you're asking for is a crooked thing, then they also have the mercy, right? So first time also you have the demigod's mercy. You ask for something simple and you got it, right? You wanted some, you wanted to rule over a kingdom. You wanted to become a king, simple thing. So you get it, right? But then when you ask for something crooked, right? For example, I want to put my hand on anybody's head and they should be burned to ashes. Now that's not a good thing to ask. So still you will have the mercy of the demigods in the sense that you will get what you want, but there will be a fine print and a fine clause to that we fail to read. And the same fine clause happened in the case of Ravana also, right? He asked for benediction of this, 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 and this. And he said, human beings, I don't care, right? I mean, anybody who was a well-wisher and a friend would have said that, hey, you know what? I think you should cover yourself by, freedom from being killed by human beings also. But demigods will stay silent, So they will give you your benedictions, but there'll be a fine thing there. And we have to remember that. So they are wired to work in a certain way, and they will do that. And then most of these stories that we hear are actually coming from a past time. And as you delve deeper into the Shastras, you come to know the story of Jay and Vijay, and then how Lord Krishna comes in. He wants to fight, and these people also fulfill his fighting spirit. So there's a lot that goes on over there. And the demigods also, they know. And sometimes Saraswati will also come and interfere with the way not a clean devotee is worshipping and asking for benedictions. Like, how for Kumbhakaran, he wanted to Indra Asan, and he said Nidra Asan, so now he's sleeping for a long part of time. So these kind of things will happen when you are dealing with demigods. And Krishna says that you come directly to me. Sarvdharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayasyami masucha. So that is the vidhi purvakam. That is the right way to do it, right? And not this other way that you go the demigod route and you do this and do that. Because again, demigods will be limited. They will just yanti deva vrita devan pitrin yanti prativata bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti majyadi mubhivam. So Krishna says in the same chapter, 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he says that those who worship the demigods go to the planet of the demigods. That's all that they can do. Right? So now if somebody is worshipping Brahma, who is very much in this material universe, but he's on the top, and so after death, where will you go? You will take birth in Brahma's planet. Now, Brahma is a devotee of Lord Krishna, right? So if you go there, and if you follow Brahma and you continue to do worship of Lord Krishna, then when Brahma dies, then you will also go back to Godhead. Otherwise, you'll come back again to the cycle of birth and death. Like that, right? And asking demigods, and I keep on repeating it every time, asking demigods for benedictions, for heavenly planets and things like that. The Ashina Purnya Martha Lokam Vishanti. Again, when your price credits come down, then you are exhausted, then you are actually booted out of the heavenly planets. It's like, no, you don't have sufficient dollars. You only have got some cents left here and there. So we'll send you off to a lower heavenly planet, and there you stay there. And then after when your change is also over, then you come back here to the Marte Lokam Vishanti, this particular planet that you have. And the good thing about this planet is that you have distress. You have distress in this planet, and which is a good thing, because in distress you remember the Lord. And Kunti's prayers, as they are coming along, will talk, and they will go into deeper details on how she really appreciates all the troubles that she got along the way. And she actually is bold, and she says, I want more. I want more and more and more, right? So as long as we are worshiping a demigod in the mood that this is a devotee of the Lord, right, then that's fine. That is perfectly fine, right? And should we respect them? Yes, we should respect them. Why? Because they are devotees of the Lord, right? Anyone who's a devotee of the Lord, you should offer obeisances to them. So there's no harm in that. The idea is that what is your inner intention, which was there? What is it that you had in mind? What were you looking for when you bowed down your head? Inside, what were you asking? Were you asking that, give me the benediction that I can kill Vishnu, right? Kamsa, he was doing smaranam of Krishna all the time. He was chanting the name of Vishnu, right? Avidhi purvakam. That's not the right way. You have to do it as prescribed in the Shastras. Okay. So I will stop here and open up for questions and reflections. I've noticed that, during the week you had lots of things to talk about, and time was short. So, I could only take a few things. So if there's anything pending from this week, please, feel free to continue the question there. because this is a deep topic. We can go on this for a long time. But here we go. Yeah. Anything that has stuck your mind from today, or anything else that is bothering you these days? Any thoughts that are there in your mind that you want to discuss? They need not be to the topic that we have covered here today in the class. Feel free. To share.
Yeah, there is one quick question I want to ask that's not covered in the in today's topic.
Okay.
Gambling is one of the
four principles.
Yeah, for principles that is not advised, right? That you shouldn't gamble. Is playing on the stock market for income, is that considered gambling?
That's a very dicey question. It's a very dicey question to ask. If you had asked that question 40 years ago, the answer would have been a straight yes, right? That stock is gambling, right? Now, what exactly is gambling? Let's first talk about that. What do you think is gambling? And do we gamble other than stock?
Well, I mean, it's taking a chance. There's no, you don't really work for it, and you take a chance as a risk.
Vaishana Mataji, you want to tell us what is gambling? I see you raise your hand.
Yes, Mother.
Okay, please go ahead.
Mother, I in my view is gambling is when you want to do something without putting any effort into it and making some money. That is gambling, and there is a chance of losing and winning. Both the things are there. So it is gambling. When you see there is a chance of winning and there is a chance of losing. So that is gambling. But here in stock market, people, they do it. Here the chance is that you might lose the money what you have. So this kind of a gambling, and if you win, if you give it to the Lord, then I think it will not be considered as gambling.
And so let's get some more thoughts on this. Thank you, Vaishana Mataji, for sharing. So what is wrong about investing? What's wrong about investing your money in the stock?
So gambling is basically that makes us very anxious. We have anxiety all the time. So we forget about Krishna and then think about that.
Yes, Sukuma Radhe Mataji, please go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
When people go to casinos to gamble and all, they may or may not be anxious. They are just going for fun, and they are going with the idea that they may lose money, and that's okay. So the general population, like who goes to gamble, I'm not talking of the stock market, but I'm just saying that they may go with the intention of winning, but they are okay if they lose too. So that's something they have come to terms with. So they go for enjoyment.
And then what happens? And then what can happen?
They get attached to it.
They can get attached.
They derive pleasure and then pain from as that cycle starts.
Yeah, the addiction will start after if they win.
And what if they win the first time? You put your money in the slot machine and immediately so much of change comes out.
Yeah, that's beginner's luck, and then they get addicted.
Addiction.
Right? So there are so many. Somebody needs to unmute themselves. So there are so many instances where where am I getting Okay, that's better. So, so there are so many instances where we do gamble. When you take one job, or you resign from job and take another one, is that a gamble or not? It's a gamble of some sort, right? Sadhana Mataji, I saw your hand now. Go ahead. You are muted.
Oh, yeah, no, I was, as far as gambling, I was just going to say that it becomes an addiction because you can get absorbed in it, that the sort of things that people do in terms of, casinos and playing, that becomes an addiction. So that was all, but we mentioned it already. So
okay, yeah, thank you.
I'll take my hand off. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so I'll give you 2 examples of addictions that I saw in my life. So when I was in India, I used to take a bus to go back home, and there were buses chartered for specific, to pick up employees from specific areas. So you go to a chartered bus, and you were usually, if you were the early ones, you were guaranteed a nice seat where you could sit. And then as the bus progressed and started to pick up more people, then there were chances that you would not get a seat. People were also standing. And there was this man who used to get into the bus right in the beginning of the bus's route, which means that he had a spot guarantee. The bus is empty. You can sit anywhere that you like to sit, right? But what he would do, he would be standing. Where would he be standing? Where the steps are, from where you get off the bus, he would be standing on that, but facing inside, like looking inside the bus like that. So you can imagine he's not getting out, as if he's getting up into the bus. He'd be standing like that. And then and at the back seat, right? So back door of the bus, he'd be there. And then there would be people sitting on the back bench, the long, the bench which is at the back, they would be sitting. They would take the briefcase. Now in India, people take briefcase to their offices, don't find much here. They would take the briefcase, and so one of them would put the briefcase on their lap. So that became a table, and it was a gambling table. They would be playing, cards game, and they would be putting money. And this man, for 10 years, he would stand there, and he was a nice position. He was a manager or something like that. A very sweet looking, person from the face of it, right? Very sweet, very innocent looking. And he would gamble all the way home. And then till wherever the bus ended, or till wherever his pals finished or had to get off. And then he would take the auto back home, right? Can you believe that? And for the 10 years that I was in this bus, I never heard him win. So this can be that addictive. And there's the hope over there. There's a hope there that, this thing can be good. This thing can be good. Oh, no, next time will be a better time. Next time will be a better time. And you don't want to work for that. You don't want to work hard for that. And so if you're applying in stocks, right? And how you're going to apply that. Number one, so a couple of things. You're applying that just by, I think this is a good one to take. Aruni Mataji. I see your hand raised. Is that guy you asking a question?
Yeah, and I think you were answering that. I was just going to make a distinction with stocks because, I guess it's similar, but it's also different in that with stocks, you might also do a little bit of work and research, look into the background of the company. I mean, it's still a chance. You still take a chance. It's still a risk because you can't predict accurately, as we've seen from the volatility of the markets over the years. But you still do some work. It's not a pure chance like playing in the casino, playing in the machines. You do research on the company. You plan your moves. I just, because there is that distinction, I just wanted to know if it would still be playing short term in the market as compared to long-term investing, whether that would be considered gambling. But then there is a certain amount of work also in, if you were to do that. Some people may not do that, to research, to find out the background, to take your chances that way after having done some legwork. But it is still a gray area. So that's why I wanted to, because of that distinction, as opposed to playing cards or going to the casino, which is just, pure luck and an obvious form of gambling. So I just wondered whether, if you were doing this in the stock market, for instance, some people do it for an income, how that would be viewed according to the spiritual principles.
Yeah, so there's a lot more. So I think you almost answered your question, right? So, so there are many other things also, or a few more things to look at, right? So one is that you said that stock market is not like a game of cards. Unfortunately, a lot of people go to the stock market playing it as a game of cards. Not done any homework, any research. You just, somebody said, oh, that person became rich by investing in this particular stock, so I should also go and do that. So that is, that is not right. The second thing also is that if you go to any financial advisor and you ask them that, my 401k is all in stock, even if you don't go to them, you start getting email messages from them that, hey, you are in a high risk area, don't do that. So even, people who are very much in the area of investment and all that advise you not to put, all your money over there. So they always say, put them in, if you have to make investments, put them in simple returns like stocks and bonds, right? Put them in bonds. The bonds are, they give you very low yield, but then, you won't be as risky, it's not as risky as the stock market. Now, the next question that comes is that, what do I do? But the world is like that. So all this advice used to be and used to make sense, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago, you could get away with that, right? Now, I'm just adding one more angle to it. And that is that you join a company and they give you their stock. So you see, things have become different. Things have become different. What do you do? Right? So you got stocks. So it depends on, where you are, which stage of life you are. For a person like me, they will always say that, don't put your 401k in stock at all, because you've reached that age where, you can't afford to have all your life saving thrown down the drain because you put it into a stock thinking it was a very nice and volatile, very nice and stable stock. But who thought about the COVID, right? Who thought that COVID would come, and then stock market is very, very volatile. Right? So people do that. Also, we have to remember that, suppose the company awarded you the stock. So what? The thing here is, what is the next step that you should do? How much of my mental energy should I invest in now thinking about the fact that I've got a pot of gold, right? And companies also, they give you stock, but not all the stock comes to you on day one. It gets, given to you over a period of 4 years. So 25% first year, 50% next year, 75 there, like that, right? So having gotten this stock options or stocks from the company, you can also be thinking about that, meditating on that. Make the browser homepage as the homepage on Yahoo Finance or whatever it is that tells you what the stock price is, and then check it out every 1 year to know that, have you become a millionaire yet or not, like that. So these things are addictive, and not anybody and everybody can handle that. I mean, even when it comes to drinking, right? People here in many countries of the world, the people drink as a matter of life. I mean, it's their lifestyle to have a few, to have a little alcohol. But not everybody has got the capacity to handle their beverage, to handle their drink, as they say. So similarly here also, can you handle or can you not handle? If the company gave you some stock, okay, fine. If you're going to say, and if you're strong enough and you're going to say that, okay, I got it. It is Krishna's gift to me because I happen to work in this company. I worked hard. This is one of the ways that gives it. I will let it be. I will not look at it. At the end of the 4 years, I will sell it for whatever, you're forced to sell it. I will sell it, and whatever I get is mine. Because I have noticed that I have seen many people when I used to work at Oracle, and the stock, went down. And there was this young boy who was, I think must be 30s, early 30s. And he was lamenting. He was lamenting that, all his 401k is gone down because the stock became half or something like that. So the mental condition can become like that, there is some supposed or assumed or anticipated gain that you're going to get, and any fluctuation in this gain, and then your heart starts to palpitate. So delving in the stock market, you have to be either a strong, very strong person, or, let somebody else handle it for you. You be satisfied with whatever gain. Yadichaya labha santushto. Whatever gains that you get, Just learn to be satisfied with that. Because with the stock market, what's going to happen is the day you sell your share, the next day is going to go up and there'll be remorse, seller's remorse. Oh, I should have done that. And these kind of things can happen all the time. Like, when you apply for a job and you're interviewing and then 3 people come and offer you the job and you take one. And then a 4th one comes and gives the result and always will be offering you more money. But you already joined the first one. And now, there's dissatisfaction. So this is the nature of this world. And this is the nature of our mind also. And let us see what Varshana Mataji is going to tell us on this topic.
Mataji, I personally feel instead of becoming too greedy, it is better to be on the safer side. If you have extra money, put it in the fixed deposit in the bank. Even if you are getting very low interest, it's okay. And the bonds also are much safer. So it is better to be on the safer side than of losing money and getting anxiety unnecessarily.
There you go. Yeah. Yes. So the key point here is that, Dharmanevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Right? It's your duty to perform, but you don't have a right to the results. So whatever results are coming, and our problem is that we are focused on the results all the time because we are taught like that, right? In our material world also, we are doing it that way. Okay? But we have to bring in the element of satisfaction to say that, okay, this is what Krishna has for me. And once you have the satisfaction is, whatever is the reality and minus your expectations. So keep your expectations low. Be grateful for whatever you have, and that's it. And or cut your losses. You get out, you had the losses, big deal. We have losses all the time, not just in stock market, in other life also. So, better to stay.
Mataji, I always wonder, and many people have asked raised this question, that why Yudhishthir Maharaj, picked up that way of gambling, yes, match, where he lost. This question was raised, who had given him the right to gamble for his brothers, his wife, and everything. Everybody, human beings. So how could he do that? Gambling up to the extent, if you are losing money, you are losing your empire, okay. But losing your brothers, losing your wife is not fair. So this question was raised to me, but I had no answer to this. I always feel that why Yudhishthir Maharaj did that.
And Prabhupada answers that. Prabhupada answers that, and he says when a Kshatriya is challenged to a gambling, he has to accept that challenge, period. That's it. So those were the days when they were living the Varna ashram. Nowadays, we are all Shudras, so better not to gamble. Because Shudras don't know how to handle money. Simple. So if you can live without gambling, if you can do it, that's the best route to do. Best thing to do. Right? So I see Vira Bhav and then Arun. And then Sukumar.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Mataji, I had a question. So you said even though if we invest money in the stock for income, Krishna says that you only get what's your quota, right? So is there a guarantee that you get more money back? Because you only get what's your quota, even though you invest in stock or not, right?
Absolutely, yes. You will never get more than your quota. And how that quota is fulfilled is from different ways, yeah. So we have a set quota here. Now, the only way, now here's the thing is becoming a class on finance, but the only way that you can get opulence the right way is to become a devotee of the Lord. And the devotee sometimes you'll see that there are devotees of the Lord who have got a lot of opulence. They're very, very rich, and they are devotees of the Lord. Amrish Prabhu, right? From GM, General Motors, right? Like that. So these are examples. So Prabhupada says in the 5th canto of Bhagavatam, Prabhupada tells us in one of the purports, and he says that when you see devotees being very, very opulent, you can understand that Krishna is arranging for that opulence. It is not the opulence that you get from the material, through the material means. You will get opulence. And that opulence can come in the form of stock also. You start a company and you float the IPO and you get a lot of money, or you join a company, and as part of the joining, they give you a grant of stocks or things like that. So it's very difficult to see things, as on the face value and to understand what is going on over there. So yeah, and that money that you give away as charity, is returned back to you. It's not that you give money in charity and it doesn't come back. It comes back, and in various proportions. And in, I think, second 2.3.17 or 2.3.16, where that verse is Ayur Hariti Vaipumsan. So there, Prabhupada in the purport, he gives a nice formula, and he's telling you that if you go to somebody who has dedicated his life towards doing devotion service completely, and if you give some Lakshmi to them, it comes back to you, millions of times. So you never know if a person is a millionaire in this life, what he did in his previous month, must have done something good. So difficult to trace the origins of Lakshmi, but then Lakshmi can come to you from various means in various ways. And if you're getting Lakshmi, there's no need for you to shy away from Lakshmi. If you've got stock and you are feeling bad about the stocks, you can donate it to the temple. You can donate your stock. Anything and everything you can donate, right? I mean, I was just looking at American. I used to fly American Airlines at one point, and they came and said, like 20 years ago or something, they said your miles are expiring, and one of the options they said was donate it. And I was like, yeah, that's a good thing. Who's traveling these days? Who wants the miles? And give it like that, so you can give it away. So again, it depends on your intention, your intensity, how much your capacity is to handle these kinds of ups and downs, right? Yeah. I mean, gambling is there everywhere. Marriage is the biggest gamble, right? Right? When a person gets pregnant, you don't know what kind of a child is going to be born. You don't know, boy or girl. That's a big gamble, like that. So I'm just trying to see raised hand here. Okay, are you raising a hand, Varshana Mataji? Okay. So
no, Mataji, I think it is old one.
Yeah. Just if you remove your old hand, then it is easy for me. And Sukumalade Mataji, yeah. Go ahead, unmute yourself.
I'm not talking about the stock market. I just wanted to say something on today's verse, that the last line in the purport where Prabhupada says that a pure devotee actually never asks for help from the Lord, but the Lord is anxious to render help. So that is like so amazing that he is anxious to render help. It's we who should be anxious to serve him and ask for help, but he is the one who wants to help us. So that was really eye-opening.
Yes. And you see how we see that classic example, and thank you for bringing that point up. We see this classic example of that in Srimad Bhagavatam, where we have Dhruv Maharaj as a 5-year-old boy who's done penances for 6 solid months, solid penances. And when Krishna comes in front of him, he says, Swamin Kirtartosmi Varam Nayache. I don't want to, my dear Lord, I'm not hankering after any var. I don't want any benediction from you. I'm completely benedicted just by looking at you. I don't want. I have got you, O Krishna. So what more do I want? Right?
Yeah.
And then in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita also, where they are comparing, and there's a verse there, it says, Yam ladva chaparam labhye manyate nadhikam tataha. So once you get to Krishna consciousness, a person sees that there is nothing better than this. And we all go to that feeling, right? There's nothing better than this. And especially after you see people with money suffering and people with no money enjoying life. And also you see how Krishna arranges things for them. How Krishna arranges money for them. I mean, look at Prabhupada. He gave up everything. He was a sannyasi. He didn't have anything, no business, no nothing, $1, whatever in his pocket. And then Krishna gave him so much of opulences. Same thing to the Maharaj also, did not want. Sudama was shy of asking, although his wife had prodded him. He said, go ask your friend. Your friend is so rich. He did not ask. Krishna arranged. Krishna arranges. So it's a very strong thing to have on your side when you think that Krishna is going to arrange for you. And once we build that mental strength that Krishna is going to arrange for you, ye yatha mam prapandyante tam satyeva bhajamiham mama vartmanu vartante manusya partha sarvata. So he says, ye yatha mam prapandyante. According to the surrender that you have to me, I will accordingly reward you. And we see that classic example of surrender in Draupadi's surrender when her Chirharan was happening, right? She did not reach out to Krishna in the first place, right? And of course, that was a lila there. Things first reaches out to the husband, thinking that her husbands are her strength, then to the grandfather Bhishma, her own strength, with her own hands. It's only when she gives up and raises her hand over there. That's the extreme surrender. So surrender also requires a lot of faith first to have in the Lord. But yeah, good side. Good side to
Thank you.
So to be dependent on.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice point, Sukamal Mataji brought up. Thank you so much.
There you go. Yeah. Anything else? Any other time? Any other topic from any other day? This is our
Yeah, Mataji, can I just ask about what you said about Yudhishthira and his duty as a Kshatriya? I thought Yudhishthira was very much aligned with doing what is right. He was like Rama in his yuga. Yudhishthira was on the side of duty. So did he not owe a duty to his, primarily to his wife and to his brothers? So even though he had to accept the challenge, was he not going against his dharma in gambling away even the honor and dignity of his wife?
Yeah.
I mean, how did that square with his duty as a Kshatriya versus his dharma towards his immediate family?
Right. Yeah. So I'm just quoting from Prabhupada because I'm not an expert on dharma. But Prabhupada says that Kshatriya has got so many dharmas, right? So there are so many dharmas that you have. And as a king and as a Kshatriya, he took that dharma to be the highest dharma for him at that time and did not think about it. Right? Just as a president of a country, right, has to first put the country in front of him before he puts his own wife and children. So when the challenge came to Yudhishthira, one way of thinking would be, okay, fine, my duty as a king and as a Kshatriya is to accept the challenge. So I'm going to accept the challenge, right? And so he did that. Now, was it right or wrong? We all know the consequences of doing that. We also have to remember that it's this is a play. This is a play that is happening, right? It's not. I mean, Yudhishthira is a devotee of the Lord, and how can a devotee of the Lord do something like that, right? So this is all a play for whose understanding, right? This is all that is happening for our understanding, for the understanding of the common man. Mahabharata is for the common people. It is for the understanding of the common people that, hey, if you take to a challenge of anybody challenging you to a gambling match, then this is what can happen, right? So that is the understanding that we have to take from the scriptures, right? And if we just take to analyzing Yudhishthira's thing and Yudhishthira's were wrong and things like that, yeah, that role is wrong role. But I should just be looking at that as what is in it for me? What do I take away from that? How do I apply that to my life? Like that.
Oh, okay. Can I just, and also the other question I have about the other one where Krishna says that he would, for the devotee, the point that was just brought up, that he'd be anxious to serve the devotee to one who is, what was that? To one who is eternally devoted to him. Krishna is the one who's anxious to serve him. How does the play of karma come into that? So some people have to live out their karma, right? So no matter what, I mean, or does that get obliterated? Does that get nullified with your devotion?
Yeah, karma is not eternal. Karma is not eternal. Soul is eternal, time is eternal, prakriti, karma is not eternal. Karma is one that you can change. Karmani nirdhati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. That's the essence of what we preach, right? That through devotional service, you will sarv dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshisyami Masutaha. So what is he saying? What is pap? What is pap? Because of the pap that we did, that we are suffering, the karma. And what is Krishna saying? Sarv dharman parichaya, abandon all varieties of religion and surrender unto me, and I have got the powers. I have got the powers to, nullify and wipe off. Brahma Samhita, karmani nirdahati, your record will be burnt. Like burning means it's final. Locking somebody's record, somebody can open that. Throwing the record, into the sea, somebody can extract it from the sea, right? But if you burn it, it's gone. Yeah, it's gone completely, like that. So, and that is, and isn't that a big relief? That is the biggest relief, that, we do not know what we have done. For sure, we know that whatever suffering that we go through, we know that this is because of our papas that we have done. And that's why they say, it's one of the characteristics of devotional service is that kleshagna. Kleshagna means klesh, distress. Gna, it will remove your distress. And where does klesh come from? Klesh comes because of sins that we commit, knowingly or unknowingly. But the results are there.
But it is so soothing to know that he says that he will deliver us in spite of all our sins, that he will deliver us from all evil.
Yes.
And he is telling us, do not fear.
Do not fear. Exactly. That's a very powerful word. I mean, that's the main thing. There was fear, right? Arjuna had all kinds of fears in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, and then 18 chapters. And then when Arjuna is ready, Krishna is telling him that Sarvdhanman Parityajya Mamikam Sharanam Vraja. Right? You abandon all varieties of religion. And one variety of religion is to go to the demigods, which this verse is talking about. And he says, don't do that. But what happens is that the devotional service is difficult. And with the devatas, you get immediate results. And why do you get immediate results? Because it's wired like that. The material world is wired like that. If you do this, this, and this, you will get this. So it's an easy route. Why don't I just bribe my way and get whatever I want? But to go deeper into the understanding of that, what you are running after, hankering after, is something impermanent, right? But, and then it's not that we are saying that, this is impermanent. So if my body has got problems, I should not worry about it. Everything is fine. No, it's not like that, right? Sometimes when our body is in peril, we do take measures, right? If I need to get vaccinated, I have to get vaccinated because there is a lower cause and then there is a higher cause, right? I want to stay alive. Why? Because I think I have some 10 more years to live and I want to enjoy. I haven't been to Las Vegas. I haven't been to Hawaii. So I want to live, right? Second option is that I want to live because I'm still translating the books and I haven't done the translation yet. So you see, like that. So the intention behind it always comes back to the intention, right? Now I have to warn also about this thing that, karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. And in the 10th canto 8th chapter, I think 14th verse is there, vitattenu kampam susamikshamano, right? Our favorite verse. And there in the purport, it answers a very nice, it answers a very oft asked question. Why do bad things happen to good people? Why do bad things happen to good people? So if you're saying that, bad things happen because of the papas that you have done, but I'm doing devotional service and you told me that you're going to burn my track record. So how come this little thing sneaked in and I'm having this trouble? And Prabhupada gives us such a fantastic answer and explanation in the purport. And he says that sometimes there are vestigial remaining, right? So there are some vestigial desires that still remain in the mind of with a devotee. And he has got just one little thing that he wants to enjoy. And then Krishna, through his Yogamaya, will give you some trouble in that area only. Like I could be very attached to my children. You could be very attached to your son or to your daughter. And you know what? They turn against you for some reason. And then you're so miserable, then you'll say, oh, what is it? Family is meant to give me trouble. What is there in the family? Let me just, dedicate myself to this. So you get some trouble. There's the question, the story of Pingala the prostitute in Srimad Bhagavatam. She was there the whole night. she was looking at prospects, and one man would come and she'd be like, okay, maybe this is the man who will come, and so on and so forth. But the whole night she did not get one single customer, and then she was so annoyed with the so disgusted with the whole thing, so she said, I'm going to give it up all. So sometimes, Krishna will arrange these special miseries for us so that we give up our attachment that we have. And let's hear from Vindhyavali Mataji what she has to say.
Yes, Mataji. See, that's what when you're saying that our karma or something, I feel this COVID thing again. I'll coming back to this material thing. Lot of devotees and higher senior devotees, they're all facing this. So what is this going on, and how can I think about that?
Yeah.
See, they gave their lives, and they preaching, and they giving initiation to all the devotees. They're doing books, whatever it is, and preaching and everything. They're senior devotees.
Yes.
And why they facing like that?
Yes. And what then I would add one more question on top of that, right? On top of that, and that is, when is a good time for a devotee to die? When is it a good time for a devotee to leave this world?
See, good time, there's no time, that's not in our hands, and God has to do. I'm not saying that, but why suffering?
Yes, I'm adding that. No, I'm just adding this one question that, like, for example, Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj left, right? And we all felt so bad, right? So 20 years later, 20 years later, if Bhakti Charu Maharaj would be 90 or whatever his age would have been, would we have said that, I think it's time for him to go? We will never say that, right? We'll never say that, right? So we have to understand one thing, that there is never a good time. I still remember this came to me from my manager. And when I first came here to USA, it was the fourth quarter, and I was working in a department that was measured on the revenue that you brought. And the fourth quarter was where you gave the full thirst. Everybody tried to bring in as much of revenue as they could. And I was also geared up to do that. And then in the middle of the fourth quarter, I came to know that my mom was very sick and she was on her deathbed. So I went to my manager and I said that, I just don't know, I just said that I'll have to go to India, and I'm sorry it's happening at such a bad time. I wrote to her, and next day morning I get a message from her. She says, it's never a good time for your parent to leave. And this was like, right, yeah, your parents can die quarter one. It's not like that. So one thing we have to remember is that vira bhav, prema dhana karuna prachur. So that feeling of separation will always be there, right? Now the question is that, but then how that ghastly way in which they went? Why this horrible way? Why did we, Prabhupada, Kanaka Mataji says that his disciple says that she's a nurse, and she says that Prabhupada did not have much muscle left in his body. So when you don't have much muscle left in the body, your bones interact with each other a lot, right? And then they go and press the nerves. So there's a lot of pain that you get. And he was saying that any other man would have asked for a morphine, dose, but Prabhupada, he was transcendental. So, and she was just amazed at how he could even handle that. So now our question comes is that, why did Prabhupada have to go? Was it a sinful? What is it that is going on, right? Now, one of the things that Prabhupada said to them, and which is what Kanka Mataji was recounting also, and she said, he looked to all of them, and they were young boys and girls, right? They were very young. And he said, this is going to happen to all of you.
Yes.
And so that is the message. So now you will see how much the acharyas go through to send a message across to us, to make a point, how much they go through, right? So that's one. And the second thing also is the perspective. The perspective of the other people's perspectives, right? Other people's perspective of how on a particular situation, right? So a person is very sick and is going through, pain, or declared he's got cancer, like that. Right? And others are just saying, why did it happen to a devotee of the Lord? Or, why did this happen to this good person? And look at the pain that he's going through. Well, you are in a bodily state of mind, right? You are thinking that he's going through the pain. He's not. He's not. So it's amazing. It is amazing that, how even while they are going through pain, the devotees, he's still happy. He's saying that, oh, this has come to me. Oh, I deserve worse, and you have reduced it. So his state of mind is very different from our state of mind, which is agitated. Like, why is this thing happened? Why is this thing? The mind is like that. Mind is like that. And that's why you have to keep on reading from the acharyas, listening to the scriptures, and so on and so forth, till we get, till we get to understand that. That doesn't mean that we should not lose our compassion, right? Doesn't mean that we should lose our compassion. We should not feel compassionate to people and not do things like, oh, fine, this is happening to a Swami, let it be. Yeah, he'll leave. No, we still continue to do that, but keep us calm.
Same answer my daughter gave me, like what you said just now. When my husband passed away, I said, he's only 78 or something. So I said, people are living 90 years like that. Another 4 or 5 years he would have lived. Why he left? Just we retired and we wanted to go and stay in India. So how come he left? She says he had prostate cancer. So she says, do you want him to suffer for some more years? And if he lives 4 years, do you think that 4 years are enough for you? Then he will say more years. So she just gave me though she's my daughter, but she gave me the same answer to me. We all love, but we want him to be there for us, but we cannot see him suffering. So I don't know, certain things are very, I don't know how God's decisions and what his Krishna's.
Right, it's very difficult. It's achintya. It's achintya, cannot understand, cannot think, cannot make out of it, right? So why break the brains on things that we can't understand, right? Take it as, and that's what sometimes the Vedic religion is kind of accused to be a little bit laid back, right? We kind of accept things as they go along and don't put up a fight, like that. We accept it. And with acceptance comes
Hare Krishna, Mother.
Hare Krishna.
Motherji, I lost my cousin brother yesterday due to COVID. And we were doing on every Ekadashi, we chant whole Bhagavad Gita. We have a group chant whole, recite the whole Bhagavad Gita. And in the middle of that, you see, I got the phone call that he passed away. And I requested the senior that my brother passed away. And I request everyone to pray. And Mataji said, the whole Bhagavad Gita, which has been recited today, has been offered to him. So I felt very happy, and that way that he has gone on the right day, and all Bhagavad Gita has been offered to him. So I was very satisfied in mind.
Right. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Rama Rama.
Yes. Yeah. Because those who are surviving from COVID, they're also coming back and reporting there are other side effects of COVID.
Yeah.
So it's not that one survives COVID, it's the end of the story. People go into other kinds of problems. So, although it's always sad to lose a brother.
Every day we are listening. So many we are hearing, Mataji.
Yes.
I don't know. In India, it's getting scared to see that what's going on.
Yes, it's a time to focus on devotional service and to understand how helpless we are. Padam 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 natesham. This is what it is. Dukhalayam ashashvatam. This is what it is. Like that. Okay, so nice. Thank you so much for sharing your reflections, and we will assemble again tomorrow. I don't know what Kathy Mataji has in mind for tomorrow, whether she wants it to be a prayer session or a lecture session. I'll just close the loop with her, but nevertheless, we will meet at 6. Vindhyavali Mataji, 6 p.m. not 7.
My 9 o'clock. My 9
Yeah,
o'clock.
9 o'clock.
Yes, you're 9 o'clock.
Yes, mother.
So there.
Yeah, I got so much confusion these days. I'm still settling down. Here, the classes here I get, those classes also I'm confused. So I'm taking that day, that time,
Yeah.
rest
Write
of
it down.
time.
When you come to a new place, just
So
write
I
it down.
texted her, Vindhyavali Mataji, I texted you to remember Saturday 9 o'clock and Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday 10 o'clock. Remember?
But Saturday 9 o'clock, Saturday 6 o'clock, no? Evening?
So you're 9 o'clock.
Oh, my 9 o'clock. Okay. Oh God, that's what confused I.
Yeah,
I'm
write
sorry.
it down.
Thank you very much.
Just write it down. Keep
Yeah.
a ready reckoner with you. Yeah, have a ready slip with you so that you can do that.
Thank you, Mataji.
So please be safe. And
Thank you, Sukamla Mataji.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, devotees are like that. They can't help helping. Thank you. So please be safe, be careful, and pray for all the inhabitants of this planet who are going through this this thing.
Sunday again, I am going for help cooking.
Okay, be safe.
The temple.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Tarpisa kripa sindhubhyo sarvatanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Srimad Bhagavatam
Krishna.
on Ekadashi Day. Fantastic.
Thank you very much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna to everybody.
Dandavat
Hare
pranam.
Krishna to everybody. Pranams.
Now, I'm trying to. Okay. And this call, Hare Krishna. Then what's to those of you watching on Facebook?